Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Church group protests prolonged closure of Little Duns River. A small group led by the Ultra-West Ministries Fraternal yesterday morning staged protests at the informal attraction Little Duns River. The protesters are contending that the beach, which was shuttered at the end of August, has been closed for too long. The facility was closed due to fear of reprisal attacks following the fatal shooting of a man at the entrance. But the protesters argue that the owner, the Urban Development Corporation (UDC), has not taken any action since the closure. Reverend Jonathan Hemmings, a member of the Ultra-West Ministries Fraternal, said the group is calling for the UDC to immediately reopen the facility so residents can benefit. Mr. Hemmings argued that the beach is the only one to which many ordinary Jamaicans have free access to, along with the coastline from St. Anne's Bay to St. Mary, so to deny them access is unjust. In response to the calls from protesters to reopen a section of the Belmont property, commonly known as Little Duns River, the Urban Development Corporation (UDC) said it has maintained since 2013 that the site is not a licensed beach. It said the premises lack basic sanitary convenience and has no insurance coverage or other requisite permit to operate. But the protesters have insisted that since the declaration in 2013, nothing has been done to change the situation despite promises. When contacted, the UDC said no timeline could be given on if or when the facility will be reopened. Bar shooting caught on camera, off-duty cop challenges gunmen. A bartender who was shot several times by two gunmen at a bar on Seaward Drive, St. Andrew, has been hospitalized. The dramatic incident, which occurred in the St. Andrew South Police Division on Friday night, was caught on a camera at the establishment. It has since gone viral on several social media platforms. The two gunmen, who fled the bar after the shooting, were challenged by an off-duty policeman who engaged them in a shootout before they fled. It is not known if any of the gunmen were shot during the shootout. Senior Superintendent Kirk Ricketts, head of the division, said the incident occurred about 8 p.m. SSP Ricketts said the police are hunting for the shooters as they probe the attack. The video shows two men walking into the bar, where other patrons were sitting and music was playing. One of the gunmen went up to the counter and said something to the bartender as the other gunman stood close by. When the bartender bent down to get something, the two men pulled guns and shot him several times in his upper back. The gunmen then fled with several patrons who were running out of the bar. At least one patron seemed too shocked to move, but eventually headed to the door as the video ended. Another bartender, who was standing close to one of those who got shot, was not hurt. She ran from around the counter after the gunmen fled. Police imposed curfew in Seaview Gardens. A 48-hour curfew has been imposed in sections of Seaview Garden in St. Andrew South Division. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Monday, October 3rd, and will remain in effect until 6 p.m. on Wednesday, October 5th. The boundaries of the curfew are north along Lennon Avenue, from White Sea Drive to Yellow Sea Drive, east along Yellow Sea Drive from Lennon Avenue to Imaginary Line A that runs parallel to the gully, south along Imaginary Line A from Yellow Sea Drive to White Sea Drive, west along White Sea Drive from Imaginary Line A to Leland Avenue. Individuals within the boundaries of the curfew are reminded that during the hours of the curfew, they are required to remain within their premises unless otherwise authorized in writing by the ground commander. Kingston technical student charged with schoolmate's death to appear in court on Friday. A 17-year-old student of the Kingston Technical High School has been charged for the killing of her schoolmate. The 11th grader was charged with murder as the police continued to probe the killing of Mr. Campbell, who was stabbed to death at the school last Thursday. Police said the accused student, who is still in custody, is scheduled to appear in the family court on Friday. It was reported that about 2:45 p.m., both students were at school when a dispute developed between them. The altercation turned into a fight. During the fight, it is alleged that Campbell was stabbed to the left side of her neck and left side of her forehead. The other student received injuries to her left wrist. Both girls were taken to the Kingston Public Hospital, where Campbell succumbed to her injuries and was pronounced dead, and the other student was treated and released in the custody of the police. Tropical battery worker in alleged 3 million theft scheme remanded. 4 tropical battery workers appeared in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court last Tuesday to answer to larceny charges after the alleged uncovering of a scheme which ultimately led to unsuspecting customers of the company purchasing bad batteries. 3 of the suspects, Jamil Reed, Christopher Robinson, and Carl Logg, were directly employed to the company, while Carlton Dale Margon was a security guard stationed at the location. The court was told that the management at the company started an investigation after they received a number of complaints from customers that the batteries they purchased were bad. This information prompted a review of the CCTV at the location, and according to court documents, it was discovered that the men were moving the old batteries and placing them among the new battery stock. There is a system in place. The new batteries are not to be placed with the other kinds of batteries. But among these 4 men, they have an ingenious method, which is to clean off the old batteries so they look brand new. They would put them in the area where the new batteries are kept, and they would take the new batteries and pass them on to some unscrupulous person, the prosecutor told Chief Parish Judge Lorian Cole Montague. The scheme reportedly cost Tropical Battery $3 million. The men were approached by police officers on September 14 and arrested on fraud-related offenses. They did not enter a plea when they appeared in court. On Tuesday, they were remanded and told to return to court on October 4. Psychosocial support for KT students after fatal stabbing, says Williams. Minister of Education and Youth Favor Williams says special psychosocial support to be provided to students of Kingston Technical High who witnessed the fatal stabbing of one of their colleagues by another last Thursday. During a visit to the school on Monday, Williams sought to assure the student that the ministry will provide continued support to them as they grieve. Many of you were present when it happened. We need to give you special psychological support that can help you to deal with all the emotions that you continue to feel, Williams said, adding that the ministry will also seek to provide support to the family of both students involved in the incident. Cashier charged after $4 million swindled from Chinese wholesale. A 31-year-old woman was arrested last week after more than $4 million misappropriated from a Chinese wholesale in Maple, Clarendon. Khadisha Chambers, otherwise called Disha, from Montclair in the parish, was charged following an audit at the business place. Chambers, who worked as a cashier at the wholesale, has been charged with larceny as a servant, possession of criminal property, and engaged in a transaction that involves criminal property. It was reported that the businessman hired someone to conduct an audit at the wholesale on January 19, 2022. During the audit, which covers the period January 2020 to January 7, 2022, duplicated receipts were observed to have been tendered by Chambers, while original receipts were handed in by other cashiers. The audit uncovered that these duplicated receipts were non-genuine transactions, as they were not traceable to the credit card settled report from the days under review. Likewise, the originals of their credit card slips were already included in other cashiers' balancing report. The audit discovered that over $4 million was misappropriated from the wholesale, and the proprietor gave the police a statement. On September 23, 2022, a further statement was recorded from the businessman, and on September 27, 2022, search warrants were executed at Chambers' house in Montclair and a shop said to be owned by the accused. She was then arrested and escorted to the Maple police station where she was charged. Dennis Chong to be named new JFF Gen Secretary. Reporters have been reliably informed that respected senior financial executive Dennis Chong will replace Thornton Wint as General Secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation JFF. Chong, a former president of the Jamaica Cycling Federation, could not confirm the appointment when contacted late Monday, but according to information from well-placed sources, the chartered accountant will take office in the coming days, bringing an end to the controversy-filled tenure of Wint, who was forced out of the post after a string of controversial issues and run-ins with players. Chong is no stranger to the Jamaica Federation, having been appointed in 2020 as chairman of the association's finance committee. He brings immense management and structural experience to the position as a former CEO of the private sector organization of Jamaica and having held influential position in a number of top local organizations such as JMMB, the National Solid Waste Management Agency, Petrodram, and the National Integrity Action. He is a past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica. Chong recently resigned his post as Chief Executive Officer of Supreme Ventures Limited effective October 31st. Wint's position with the JFF became untenable after members of the national men's senior football team refused to play for country unless he was removed from the post following a number of issues including an alleged mismanagement of travel arrangements for a CONCACAF National League match against Suriname in June. Though he Embattled administrator eventually gave a verbal commitment to quit, it is not yet clear if the resignation has been delivered to the JFF to date. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell.